Thank you, Morgan. I have to test up first how shaky my hands are going to be. I was really hoping for a headset, but I don't think we're good. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give this one a shot. So my name is Victoria, and I am the co-president of the Surrey Newton Rotaract Club. How many people here know what Rotary is? I feel like it's been referenced a lot. Is there anybody? Yeah, it's been referenced quite a lot. Is there anybody that doesn't know what Rotary is or isn't really familiar with it? I wasn't 2 years ago. I either thought it was like a church or a cult or something like that along those lines. So Rotary is an basic. I have no idea the origins of why it's called Rotary, but basically Rotary is an international community service organization. It attracts people who, without it being their job, out of the goodness of their own hearts, will just spend their extra time outside of paid work, outside of their family, to doing good. Whether that be volunteering in your community, coming up with a new program, going across the world and working with another club to do some more international service work. I think we have some people in August going to Guatemala, if you're around. Woo! Okay. A very small percentage of people going to Guatemala. And so I find that Rotary attracts people that, like I said, out of the goodness of their heart, without getting paid, want to just do things like this and put on events like this. So I'm the co-president of the Surrey Newton Rotaract Club, which, as Nam said, is the 18 to 30 division of this event. And I think you can tell something like Rotary or Rotaract attracts quite a few young leaders around. And like I said, young leaders and people that want to do good. And that includes the owner of this venue, who is actually the president of the Surrey Newton. There's a lot of clubs, so you have to bear with me. The Surrey Newton Rotary Club. Is the owner around here? Nope. Anyways, so one thing that he did for us was donate the venue. And so we thought, okay, what can we do? And that's quite a big help. So we thought, okay, what can we do with a space like this? Dinner dances, we've done a lot. There's nothing wrong with dinner dances. But we thought we could use this space to make a bit more community impact. And I don't know about you, but I can feel that in my life in the last few years, there's kind of been a growing hunger to want to learn more about other people, to make the world a better place. I've watched a lot more TED Talks than I did 10 years ago. I don't know if anyone else can relate. Yeah, they're great. And so we thought using the night for an event like this would be the perfect way to use the space and create some community impact. So my next question is, after that, how many of us can relate to then watching TED Talks, getting really inspired? Has anybody else gone down like a YouTube rabbit hole where you're watching a lot of Oprah videos over and over again? Or you're on Instagram, right? And there's lots of things you're liking and lots of very inspirational quotes. And how many of us have actually really felt that inspiration? Really felt it. Today's the day, I'm gonna make changes, I'm gonna do it, and then you go to bed, and tomorrow comes, and then you're like, today's not the day. Tomorrow is gonna be the day. Or you're like, yeah, I'm gonna face that coworker that's always being really difficult to me, and then you get to face that coworker, and you kind of just do the same thing as you did before. So that used to frustrate me a lot. Like I said, I don't know if anybody can relate to those experiences. That used to frustrate me quite a lot, and I really just thought I wasn't a motivated person. So I thought, there's people that are motivated, and then there's people that are kind of like me, who watch the videos and change doesn't really stick for us, and so maybe I'm just cut from a different cloth. And that can be a hard feeling. It can really make you feel less than. So I want to share a story with you about one of my favorite social researchers, Brené Brown. Has anybody heard of Brené Brown or heard me talk about Brené Brown? If you've talked to me, you've probably heard me talk about Brené Brown. There's Beyonce, Oprah, Brené Brown, and those are the three women that I can't get enough of. So Brené Brown she was a social worker turned social researcher. And so she does a lot of social research on topics such as shame, vulnerability, unworthiness, just very heavy topics. And she actually she was invited to speak at an event like this. And it was one of her first times speaking to the non-academia world. It was to normal people, she said. She was so excited because academia can be really inaccessible, and it can be, like, how many people here read academic papers for fun? Exactly. It's not always the most accessible type of information. So she was invited to speak at a ladies' luncheon. So she showed up, much like our speakers did today. It was early, met the event organizer, was very excited. Hi, I'm Renee. And the event organizer was like, great, so nice to meet you. Can you give me your bio? So the lady took a look at her bio, and I think Renee went off or something like that. And Renee could hear the lady go like, ugh. I'm not making the sounds very well, but it was the grunts of disappointment of reading her bio. And so Renee kind of brushed back to her and was like, what's the problem? Is there something going on? And the lady went to her and was like, well, I thought it says here you study like shame and vulnerability and worthiness and unworthiness. And Renee was like, yeah, that's what I study. And so she said, I thought you were going to talk about joy and how to get what you want in life and how to be happy. And Brene was like, nope, I talked about the things that get in the way of that. And the lady who was organizing the event just was not having it. She told her, you're not going to talk about those things. You're going to talk about tips and tricks. We're going to learn about joy, how to make people happy. They're eating. They don't want to talk about things like shame and vulnerability and all those hard topics. And so Brene said that was the difference between your 30s and your 40s. In your 30s, you kind of go like, okay. And so she stood there for an hour and just said, you should be happy. Happiness is important. And she said in her 40s, that's when you go like, that's it, I'm getting my stuff and leaving. So she was pretty inauthentic and stood there for an hour and just talked about how it's important to be happy and gave people tips and tricks. And this is all from her talk, she talked about, I don't think how-to is the problem. Because if I asked you, how do you save money? What are some ways to save money? Save money, that's right. You can save money by saving money. If I tell you, if I ask people in this room, how do you update your resume to get your dream job? I figure some of you would know how to update your resume. You would know how to save money. If I asked you how do you be healthier, you would probably already know a few things about how to be healthier, eating more vegetables, getting better sleep. So she wanted to argue in her talk that how-to wasn't the problem, because how-to, there's a lot of us who know how-to pretty much, but it's what's getting in the way of how-to that's the big issue, and what we're not really talking about. So Brene thought, that event organizer was just like mean and didn't like her, but she said it was kind of symptomatic of our larger culture because we don't necessarily always want to talk about the things that can get in the way. And in my last couple of years of trying to get to know myself, I found that sometimes the stuff that can get away isn't necessarily out there. It can often be inside, in between these two ears. It's often kind of within us. And so usually what's within us is what's happened to us in our past, the beliefs we have about ourselves and what we think we can do and what we think we can't do, what we think we're worthy of, if we actually think we can go for something, and how we talk to ourselves. Has anybody actually listened to how you talk to yourself before? Yeah. Or observed any of the words you've ever said to yourself before? They can be quite harsh. And so my argument is that in order to kind of get some of the goals that we want out there, we're going to have to kind of take a journey back inside, even if it's really difficult, and it can be. I think it's important too because at the end of the day, you are the person that you build your dreams on. So you are what you build your foundation. You're the foundation that you build your dreams on. You're only ever going to be yourself. And so learning to use you as the best tool is, I think, one of the best ways that you can actually get what you want. And so I invite you to think about, if you're wanting to figure out how to make your life an amazing thing, I invite you to kind of take the journey back in and know that there are people there that will love you and support you through that. But that might be a great place to start. So I didn't actually practice the ending of this talk. It's kind of ending right now, and I hope you guys enjoy the event.